On today's episode of the CLS Experience, was a very exclusive treat. At age 19, he built and then sold a biotech software company. At age 22, he was a venture capitalist raising 500 to 15 million. He now runs a YouTube channel for entrepreneurs with over 2 million subscribers and has written 4 books and speaks globally. No big deal. He set 2 world records, uses a trampoline and stand-up desk, owns Canada's largest salsa dance studio, and has a giant Doritos bag in front of him all day long just to remind him that he's stronger than the Doritos. His ability to inspire others is second to none, and he wants to solve the world's biggest problem, that people just don't believe in themselves enough. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific husband and father. Please welcome the dynamic, compelling, and abundant, the handsome and optimistic Evan Carmichael. How you doing?
Let's go. Let's go. I got to bring you with me everywhere, man. That's great. The voice, the accent on the 100, that was great. I love it.
You feeling elevated? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, it's great.
I got to tell you, for our listeners, we're about 5 million now. In case you're not familiar, this isn't the first time Evan and I collaborated, but my biggest suggestion is to do a deep dive. Check out all his content, his books, his YouTube, his social, all that stuff. Play catch up. It's so much fun. So many nuggets. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. So we're going to dive right in. I might know the answer to this question, but I might not. So I'm looking forward to asking you. Ev,
Okay.
what is your superpower?
What is my superpower?
Yeah,
Believing in people.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
I think whatever the thing is that, what's my biggest kryptonite? Believing in myself. Like the thing that you want to give to the world is also the thing that you need the most too. So now people say, well, you're the believe guy. How do you not believe in yourself? Well, I believe in myself to get here, to do everything that I've done. It's the next step. The next level of Evan Carmichael is on the other side of even more belief. And as I learn and improve and grow and figure out some new strategies, I'm going to then share it with my audience as well.
yeah, this is so good. So much alignment here. One of the reasons I was looking forward to connecting again and building the friendship. Sometimes my fiance, who's, she's originally from Ukraine, she's been here since she's 14, but she has that immigrant mentality. She's a little more savage than I am. Sometimes she'll say to me, Craig, you believe in people too much, because oftentimes, if I'm being 100% transparent and vulnerable, sometimes you get let down. I wouldn't change a thing. I generally want to see everybody win. I believe that there is good in people. But if I'm being honest, sometimes it tends to be a gift and a curse because people do let me down. Do you struggle with that? And if so, how do you handle it?
I don't see it as a letdown. It's just understanding their life circumstances, So like I start with the premise that people are good. I think people are good. Like I don't believe what the media says. I think people are good. I think at the core, everybody wants to serve. I think there's a lot of negativity in the system, and I think there's a lot of hurt people, and hurt people will hurt people. And so I want to try to be the force on the other side. I want to be a force for good as much as I can.
Yeah.
But when people come to you and you give them some advice and you clearly see a path for them to accomplish some sort of success that they may not see in themselves, right? I mean, this is the goal of a mentor, is to help somebody see a path that they necessarily don't see in themselves. And then they fall back and they don't take the steps, they don't achieve it, they don't get there. Is it because they're a bad person? No. Is it because they don't think your thing works or they hate you? No. It's like something happened. So you're only let down until you know what happened.
And
You
don't
know
make
the thoughts that are in their head, right? And so like, do you want to invest the time? Like there's tons of times I've been on shows or talk to somebody giving them advice and they don't take it. It doesn't personally impact me. Like something happened. I just assume that something happened in their life. But if they kept on asking questions or they kept on consuming content, that's going to come back. And maybe maybe the way I told them in that day got them motivated for a week and then they fell back down. But then maybe when they talk to Craig, he says it in a different way with a New York accent. And it just, like it really sinks in. And like, that's the thing. Because think about your growth and your journey. Did one person tell you one thing and then you blew up? It's like, no, it's like people have told you various times the same things in different voices. Then like finally it snaps. And so like, that's it. This is what I'm going to do. Right. And so does that mean that you let those other people down? No, you're just on your journey. And so I'm a stop on people's journey. And maybe it's a big growth with me, or just I'm a setup to Craig or somebody else.
You have such a good attitude, and I want to acknowledge you. And in today's day and world, sometimes it's rare, right? And I love that, like, it's nobody's fault. They had some stuff going on. I don't take it personal. I did what I could to maybe guide them. And if they end up taking action because they hear the same thing from someone else, but it was said a little bit differently, everybody wins. And that's awesome. I want to acknowledge you for that, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more my parents than anything else. But I think I just think that's truth. I think if you just look at your own journey, all the people that you didn't listen to along the way, did you let them down? Should they feel guilty? No, like they still helped. Like they contributed. They watered the seed once, and somebody else came in and like watered it every day. But like that first person, they still kept you alive. They still kept you going. Like they started this thing. So we're all just pit stops on somebody else's. It's like, but on the other side, I also think I don't take too much credit for stuff.
Yeah.
Like when somebody says, "Hey, Evan, like you saved my life," like I didn't do anything. Like I made some videos. I did like 0.5%, and I'll own my 0.5%. Right? I crushed my 0.5%. But you did the work. I'm not waking you up out of bed every day and telling you what to do and following up with you. Like I had one conversation with you, or you watch some of my content. I never met you. You're off doing the work. So like that's also not me. I'm not the one doing everything for you. So I'm just a pit stop. I'm a tool. Use it.
I love your perspective. It's so refreshing. And I was watching some of your content, which I highly suggest everyone in the audience do immediately following this conversation. And you were talking about how you have some people that you really look up to, that you hold in high regard, some visionaries, entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs, people like that. But that doesn't mean that you want to be like them all around, right? Like some of their personal lives may have suffered for all the work they were putting in and so forth. So you grab what you like from different people and you leave the rest. And I just thought that was so interesting, because it's true. Not everyone is perfect, of course, but people make sacrifices and they have success in certain areas, and that's something to gravitate towards. But other areas might be compromised, and I love that you make an effort to make sure that doesn't happen for you.
I think people trap themselves by thinking they have to be the next whoever.
Yeah.
Like we have a mutual friend in Dave Meltzer. Dave's great. Like Dave, when Dave first started on YouTube, and I met him, like, please don't stop. Like, we need you. We need your voice. We need your content. We need your heart. We need more Dave Meltzer. And you're working with Dave too. Yeah. And so you don't want to be Dave Meltzer though. Yeah. Like you can take 8% of Dave Meltzer to make Craig Siegel better. And you could take 0.5% of Evan Carmichael to make Craig Siegel better. Like your goal is to be the best Craig Siegel possible. Mm-hmm. And you take that from different things from different people. There is no perfect Craig Siegel that exists out there. You have to go manufacture it. Yeah. And you can do that by taking different things from different people. So I love learning. Like if you hate somebody, there's probably a reason for that. And your biggest lessons are probably by learning from them. So the first top 10 I did on my channel, where we'll profile different successful people and learn from them. The first one I did was Kanye West.
When was this?
When? Oh, I don't know. I should look at it, like years ago. And Kanye, I mean, is in a world of mess now, and like has always been in a mess of different things. And I did it because of my friend Mark Drager posted a blog about Kanye West and the Taylor Swift thing and how it was so rude. And like years after it happened, and like, Mark, you can learn from Kanye, right? It's like, don't worry about you won't be rude and brash and whatever else, but the dude he won more Grammys than anybody else at his age in history. He transitioned from being a beat producer to a rapper to an entrepreneur to becoming a billionaire. Like there's nothing that you can learn from Kanye West. Like you have to just dump on him. And so I had something else to do that day, and I threw my work. I was so pissed at my friend Mark that I made a video, top 10 rules for success from Kanye West, just as a one-off, just as a Mark, here's things you can learn from him and ignore all the other stuff in there. And there's an example of, in that video is John Legend. You know John Legend?
Of course.
Okay. Well, but his name isn't John Legend. His name is John Stevens. And John Stevens and Kanye are friends growing up, right? Early on, which already seems weird. Like John Legend seems to be like the nicest, most humble human of all time. Like, how is he friends with Kanye West? And like, how do they run in the same circle?
Right.
So John Stevens and Kanye are sitting at a bar in Chicago. And John Stevens says, I feel like I don't belong in this era. I'm an old soul. Like I should be in the Sinatra era. Like that's where my soul is. And Kanye says, you should call yourself the legend. And John Stevens says, I'm at the beginning of my career. I can't call myself a legend, right? Who's going to take me seriously? And Kanye convinced him to change his name to John Legend. Now, even if you hate Kanye and think he's the most blank whatever, right? Are you as good a friend to your friends as Kanye was to John Stevens? And so like that was the point of that video that I threw together to say, you, Mark, you might hate Kanye, but there's a lot you can learn from him. Watch this video. And so I always just try to take a perspective of if somebody's had more success than me, there's something they can teach me. And I'm willing to ignore all of the other stuff. Like, just don't let it permeate you. If somebody really pisses you off, great. Like, don't do that. But there's things in there that you can learn from them to make you better at what you do.
That's awesome. That was a very fascinating story. And I love that stuff, like, Hollywood and the music stuff. I never heard that before. But that's pretty cool. And
you
also,
look at like I'm Canadian, so I don't really follow too much of the politics down there. But you guys, it's a blood sport for
blood sport. You
guys are nuts. So in looking at like the Trump Hillary Clinton battle, you might not like Trump, or you might not like it. You have some, most people have some strong opinion one way or the other. But north of the border, I'm looking at Trump versus Hillary. Okay, what are they staying for? You have Trump, who's like, make America great again. You have Trump, who wants to build the wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it. And like, these are all the campaign things that were coming up, whether you agree with them or not, right? And he's naming everybody, right? Crooked Hillary and Lying Ted and like whatever. He's got nicknames for people, right? What did Clinton stand for? I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything. Now, I'm Canadian and I'm not really following along, but Trump, whether you like him or hate him, was great at crafting a message, was great at giving people nicknames, right? So how can you leverage that for good? Like, if you love Trump, then use it the same way. If you hate Trump, use it for good. So like, that's what I'm just always trying to pay attention to, is like, okay, you may not like how somebody's doing blank, but inside there's an awesome secret that you're probably missing that you can apply to your life or business.
I love this conversation, because it's like, you look at your map of the world, if you will, your frame. It doesn't really look at like good, bad, like good versus evil. You just look at like message that I can extract and use, and you're not really placing judgment. And it's funny because I like to watch only stuff that I can extract a message from. Of course, sometimes like you'll put on something mindless at the end of the day. My fiance likes to, whatever the case may be, but I'm still available for a message in everything, and I'm always looking for it. And I just like the way you operate. Like, regardless of what somebody does or what they represent, there's something that they do that made them successful, that if you were to utilize, you might be a little bit more successful.
Yeah. Like, so the Trump nickname thing, right? He does it in a really negative way, right? And I don't like the negativity, right? So I wouldn't come on and call I don't even know who my enemies would be, but whatever. And but the whole idea of giving somebody a nickname is actually powerful. So one of the entrepreneurs that I've invested into, his name is Alex. He remembers having this dream of leading people. Like, he was the general of an army, and he had his team of people, and like, it was a really powerful dream for him. So then I started calling him General Alex. So then when I meet him, hey, General Alex, how you doing? And like, reinforcing the positive nickname for him, so that just happened once, but the more you reinforce it, he now sees himself as a general. I learned that from Donald Trump calling Hillary Crooked Hillary, just using it in a positive way.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's had more success than you, there's something you can learn from them. And it may be 99% crap, but there's like one thing that if you picked up, that's like, learning from people who you don't like is usually a bigger unlock than learning from people who are exactly like you.
So
you just have to read between the lines, because a lot of times that stuff is not they don't break it down for you. So I remember seeing Elon Musk on CNN or CNBC or whatever, talking about AI. And that's kind of relevant, I guess, now, but this is years ago. And he goes on this national show and says, AI is going to destroy the world. Like the robots are going to kill us all. And then, this is a pretty bold statement to say on national TV. And then the anchor then says, well, how's it going to happen? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, well, and they're trying to dig deeper into like how, and he just keeps saying, I don't know. And I look at that and say, man, like if I went on a national show and I make some bold statement and then I get asked a question that I don't know the answer to, I don't know that I would say, I don't know. I think I would try to fudge my way through an answer, because you don't want to look bad for not having the answer. And so I just kind of save that little clip so that I hope the next time I get asked a question, maybe you ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I say, I don't know. Because I don't think I would default to doing that. So I learned that from watching Elon Musk, not from him saying a strategy.
Yeah. This is probably years ago. And now look at AI.
It's timely now. Yeah. I don't remember how old ago that clip was, but I remember that one really stuck with me. But it requires, there's some great teachers and you do a great job of bringing on some amazing teachers and extracting lessons for them to teach. But a lot of the leaders you have to look to and extract lessons on your own. You have to read between the lines.
Yeah.
What do I care about, AI 5 years ago and robots? It doesn't matter to me. I know it's not top of mind, but in how he answered that question, it was insightful for me that as a guest, I hope I have the courage to say, I don't know when I actually don't know.
This is great. There's a big similarity here between me and you, but you were able to put it together much sooner than I was. And that is being a student of the game, right? And just like, I've been journaling for 15 years, like studying historic figures, even fictional figures that I found fascinating, like 007. I would take attributes from and I would apply them. Doesn't matter to me. I make it real. But I would study people, and I was so fascinated by visionaries, all sorts of people, and I was journaling. And then finally in the lockdown, I said, wait a minute, this is probably more than a passion. I think this is why I'm here. And I put it all together. But I love how fascinated you are to just learn and take what you like from different people and then apply it and so forth. And you'll never, not that you need to worry about this, but you'll never get stale or dull or repeat yourself too much because you're constantly learning and applying and then giving back. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. I mean, there's a lot in there. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really, I'm just making videos and content and having guests on and being guests on shows that I'm curious about. I love being on with you. Like you came to me through Dave and Dave's like, hey, I got this new guy I'm working with, Craig. Can you hop on an IG live together? Right. I didn't know who you were, but it's Dave. So like, okay, happy to do it. Right. And then like, we're back for round 2 because round 1 was so good. Right. Yeah. And so I'm not as strategic of, I need to do this person because it's going to help me grow my channel. It's more, what do I want to learn? If I just wanted to grow, I should go negative. If I did the top 10 stupidest things Kanye has said, that'd be fire. People would love that stuff, right? But I'm trying to spread, it would make me feel gross because I want to create optimism and belief and hope for people.
That's so funny that you just said that. Talk about alignment. I have a content, I can't do it all as we're growing and scaling. I say very humbly, we're starting to delegate. And I have a content guy, and he posted a clip of me last night of an analogy I was using to really deliver a message home from a speaking engagement. And I didn't like the title of the video. It just made me feel it wasn't on brand. It was basically like trying to be a little controversial to, clickbait. And I was like, that's not us. I don't care if it underperforms or the case would be, but it doesn't feel good to me. And it's basic, and I didn't like articulate it, but that's just how I felt. And you just said the same thing, like yes, that those things tend to maybe perform better in regards to going viral, but that's not you. It's not me either.
Yeah, and listen, as you grow fast, your team's going to make mistakes. We've got 52 people on the team, awesome. And mistakes happen every day. Like typos and wrong intonation and wrong titles. And like you try your best you can, but as you're growing and you bring on new people, they're going to make mistakes. But like the biggest thing that I always say, because if I had to proofread everything that ever goes out, it's like, it's not happening. It's forget it. Like I become the giant bottleneck for everything. So they have to have freedom to go. But the thing that I always tell everybody is reminding them that, like, does this inspire belief? Does this make you believe more? Does this title, does this video, does this thumbnail, does that clip selection pick, does it help you believe more? Because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And we still get it wrong a lot, but it's still like the guiding framework for people, because when you're going to grow quickly, you make a lot of mistakes. And so more than like the rules, what are the rules with AI? Who knows? We're still making it up.
Yeah.
Like the rules, it's hard to set rules for all of these things. And so the best rule we can give them is a value system, which for us is believe, and yours is pretty close.
Yeah, it is. And that's so cool. That's like your framework, like your core vision. And then it has to tie into that. I love that. I wanted to ask you, these are the best types of conversations because they're straight off the cuff and we're just all over. These are the most valuable, most fun. But there's something specifically I wanted to ask you today. I love the way you answer this, and I think it'll be so valuable for the audience. Ev, what does balance mean to you?
I don't really think about balance. I think when people ask that, it's usually thinking like work-life balance,
Right?
Which then leads me to, well, what's work?
Right.
Is this work?
Not for me.
Not for me. So what's balance, right? What's work? Is this? It's just life. But I don't want to spend. You don't want to spend all day doing anything. You don't want to spend all day sleeping. You don't want to spend all day with your puppy. You don't want to spend all day with your wife. You don't want to spend all day talking to me. You don't want to spend all day, like nobody wants to spend all day doing anything, right? You might feel like you do because you're so stressed out and not spending enough time there. But for me, it's all life. Like work is a super important part of life. Work gives you meaning. If you had no work to show up and do, what are you doing all day? Like we all want to make something that matters to somebody else. Yeah. We are service seeking creatures. You want to feel like today is going to matter. If you look at your calendar and felt like I'm going to do something today, it's going to mean something to somebody, and maybe not the world. That you and I want to serve the world. Some people, it's just one person that means something to them that lights them up. But if you woke up every day and felt like today's not going to matter and tomorrow's not going to matter and the next day is not going to matter to somebody else, that's the path to anxiety and stress and depression and suicide. And like a lot of the problems we face right now is people just don't feel like they're doing anything meaningful that matters. And so it's just all life for me.
Yeah, I can confirm from contrast. When you don't love like what you're doing, or you don't find it to be like productive or meaningful or purposeful, that's where you open up space for negative stuff, gossip, drama, drinking, whatever the case may be. But on the flip side, when you're excited, it doesn't mean every day is a 10 out of 10, but when you're excited and your passion, your purpose, and you look on the calendar and you have those things that might mean something to one person, that keeps you in the game, keeps you excited, and keeps you enthusiastic.
Yeah. And listen, I know we got to pop, but I would just add to that to say, try to pay attention to the micro moments where you're feeling like something's not great. So we had our first session on Instagram Live. It was great. You know, your team messages me for round 2. Like, yeah, let's go. Round 2 with Craig, down, right? But if you have somebody else, if somebody on your team who is bringing you down for one day, it's like, huh, okay, that's interesting. If it happens a second day or second week, you're like, maybe it's worth talking and see what's going on. If it keeps happening, like maybe that person shouldn't be in your life.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly paying attention to the things that give you energy and take away. It's really just about energy management than anything else. You're talking about balance, like pay attention to your energy and do more of the things and be around more of the people that give you energy. And my work gives me energy. I'm leaving with more energy with this interview than I came in.
Same.
Right? So like this didn't deplete me. It filled me up. This is great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And like we want to strive to do more things that give us energy as opposed to deplete. And that applies to your relationships, your work, your sleep, your fitness routine, your food, all of it. Does it give you more energy or does it take away?
Does it nourish you? Does it light you up? It really is that simple. Yeah. Last thing I want to mention, your newest book, Momentum. I love that word. I think momentum is the hardest thing to get and the easiest thing to lose. But when you have it, the wind's at your back. Why that book right now? Why momentum?
I've been saying to people a lot that the only thing you're missing is momentum. The amount of entrepreneurs I meet who have a great heart, great soul, great vision, great business, like want to do good. And then like the only thing you're missing is momentum. The people who are winning are not smarter than you. They're probably dumber than you and have less of a heart than you, but they just started. And so the only thing you're missing is momentum. And so that's why I wrote the book, is like, how do you build the momentum? How do you maintain the momentum? How do you turn that thing that you love, whether you want to write a book, start a business, create a YouTube channel, start your podcast, like that first step is just seemingly so difficult. And then once you take it, it's like, oh, that actually wasn't that bad. Let's keep going. The only thing you're missing is momentum.
Yeah, so good. Love every part about this. And I'm going to go ahead and set the intention that there will be a round 3 sooner than later.
What episode number is this for you?
For the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I believe we dropped 168, but we have a bunch in the queue.
Okay.
So are you asking me
250? 250.
You'll be back?
250. I'm number 250.
Okay, done.
When you get close, message my assistant and say you're coming. I promised you 250, and we're gonna do 250 round 3.
Done and done. And hang up for one second. Yeah, I just want to connect with you after. I want you to know you're the definition of being in alignment, authenticity, and abundance. I can personally guarantee your best yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping this priceless, juicy nuggets today.
Thank you, man.
That was awesome, brother. I love you, man.
There you
Where
go.
Are you located?
Great. What?
Where are you located?
I'm in Toronto.
Let's stay connected.
Yeah. Instagram's usually the easiest. Like I'm on DMs a whole bunch.
Yeah. Is there anything else besides this that I can do off the top of your mind to support?
I'm just insane. Like I leave for Austin tomorrow, then we're in Orlando, then I'm back in Arizona all in like 3 weeks. So I'm just like trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
My team wanted to cancel this. So like, no, like we promised we got to get it going. So I'm just in, I mean, the book is great. That's probably the easiest thing right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll put in the show notes and all that. We have our first book coming out with Wiley, August 15th. I'm excited about it.
Cool. Let's go.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We'll stay connected. Love this conversation. Love you, brother. Love what you're doing. And we'll connect soon.
Thank you, man. See you soon.
Thank you, F. Bye, buddy.